Recognizes Representative Singh.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I rise today to unfortunately have to oppose House Bill 5314. My first reason for opposing this bill is that you continue a practice over the last 3 years that has actually created less transparency within our budget by rolling up 3 budgets into one. I was very actively involved in the higher ed budget as the vice chair, and I think we did great work on that. But today, you're not allowing me to vote on that alone, which has been the historical practice of this body. I would have also supported the community college budget because we did very good on that budget as well. Historically, we've been allowed to vote on that. But today, we're rolling all of that up. And what that does is a disservice to the citizens of this state because it doesn't allow them to understand all the underpinnings of our budget and the issues that we're voting on. I hope, as we move into another legislative cycle, that we can fix that, both Democrats and Republicans together. My second reason for not supporting this is that we have stepped away from money that should be in the school aid fund. We passed the use tax. $85 million more should be in the school aid fund. And so when you suggest that there is not enough money for us to be able to do everything we've asked, the money was actually there. It is budgeted for, and it is there. You have now taken that money and are using it for general fund items that have not had school aid before. So you have taken $85 million out of this budget to solve other budget problems within the overall state budget. Historically, we've had a 2x, 2 times the amount of our lowest funded schools, and that's been a thing that we've all looked at. We've all worked on that together to bring the disparity down. But today, you're asking me to vote on something that's 3.5 times. That was never discussed in this chamber, never discussed in the Senate chamber, and didn't even come out of the governor's office. I'll remind you, the governor started that every district around this state, we're going to start off with $83. When we voted out of our chamber a month or so ago, it was $72. When the Senate, in a very complicated formula, but if you took out all the other pieces, their floor was at $75. So when I sat in the conference committee and I saw that the lowest for many of our school districts was $50, where did that come from? It didn't happen in any subcommittee meetings. It didn't happen in appropriations. It did not happen in this chamber, and nor did it happen in the Senate. When this House went to go negotiate, we got rolled. We sent out $72, and now many of our districts are only going to get $50. I think it was shameful and was not part of the process that we all agreed to. Recently, in the last week, we found out we have a few more schools that are deficit districts. Why is that occurring? Because we continue to underfund. I don't disagree with my colleague that we do have a $15 billion investment in education. But is that the right number? The answer is it's not. Over the last decade, we have slashed resources to schools, we've slashed resources to higher education, and other states have been going higher and higher, investing more and more. We are in a global economy, and if we are going to be able to be competitive with other states and other countries, we should be investing. And the last piece is that we continue the meddling in affairs that don't belong in this chamber. This budget allows us to continue to play around with the tests of our students. Instead of allowing educators to do the tests, we now are sitting around this chamber trying to decide what tests they should be taking. And so I stand here today knowing that we did the right thing a month ago. We asked the Senate to take a look at $72. They agreed to $75 from theirs, and the governor asked for $83. And now you're asking a lot of our districts to take $50 and be happy with it. I've heard from my school board members, I've heard from my superintendents that this doesn't even keep them up with their cost of living or even with their MIPSERS changes. So whatever you've been told, that this is somehow going to help your school districts, you should ask your superintendents, because I can tell you that these resources are not enough. We had an opportunity today. Many of us were only asking for $20 million more to be invested to bring many of these school districts back up to the level that we talked about in this chamber just a month ago. And the fact that we can't spend the time to find that $20 million when we know there's $108 million going to one-time MIPSers, where we know we have got money in the rainy day fund to help these school districts, it's a shame that we didn't actually do that work. We had the time, we could have done it, and unfortunately, we're willing to walk away from many of these school districts because you couldn't find $20 million more out of the billions of dollars that we're allocating. So this is the reason why I stand up and vote no on this budget. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Representative.